So yeah, so that was something
cool.
that. Oh shit! Sorry.
Leave that in.
She had her hand up and everything. She was getting you all ready and you were all like this.
So you may have seen in my last couple of videos that last year I had a bit of a taste test or an introduction into the professional screen composing world, where I created a score in Ableton. I had it notated by an orchestrator, and I had it recorded and performed by live musicians in a professional recording studio here in Sydney. And this was all thanks to a screen composer intensive that I won. And if it wasn't for this intensive, I may not have had the opportunity to be exposed to this world, because the professional screen composing world is actually really hard to get into.
Everyone needs to start somewhere. You can't really absorb all of it, but just being there. And that's one of the great things about this initiative, I think. Wouldn't you say?
It opens things up a bit, because the film industry can be quite closed. It's not easy to get the foot in the door, to attend sessions, to sit in with other practitioners and see what they're doing.
And if you don't experience it for yourself, or you don't go and study it somewhere, perhaps you are not really going to know how it all operates. And scoring a film completely in your DAW, in the box, versus recording your score in a professional recording environment are obviously two very different processes. And any composer can create a score completely in their DAW, in the box. And there are plenty of tutorials here on YouTube on how to go about that. However, there are not many tutorials here on YouTube on how to take your score from your DAW to a professional recording studio. Information like this is pretty scarce on YouTube in regards to like how to go about that. What are the processes involved from taking your score from your DAW and getting it ready to be recorded in a professional recording studio? Like, I found it hard to find that kind of information here on YouTube. So if you're someone that wants to get into the screen composing world, I'm going to share with you my insights on how I took my score from my DAW to a professional recording studio, and share with you everything that I can on my experience and how I went about doing that, and what I learned, and also what happened on the day of the recording. So to end the video as well, I'll be sharing some of the takes that we recorded on the day, because I video recorded everything on the day with these musicians. So you get to see some takes at the end of this video. Now, obviously everyone's experience is different, and I can only share mine and what I experienced and what I learned through the Screen Composer Intensive to hopefully give you an idea and to assist you if you want to cross over into the professional screen composing world. So hopefully it'll give you some insight on what to expect. But bear in mind that this was really just an introduction for me, a bit of a taste tester. So I can only share like from my perspective on what I experienced, and there's probably a lot more that I don't know and a lot more that I haven't experienced yet, but I'll definitely do my best to share with you what I did experience, and hopefully that'll, like I said, give you a bit of an idea of what to expect when working in teams, for example, when collaborating with others to get a film score recorded. Now, I touched on this in one of my previous videos, but the first thing to consider is when taking your score to a professional recording studio, you're going to need to have it written up in sheet music and notated. And this is obviously so that live musicians can play it. So if you know how to notate music, you could write up the sheet music to your score from your DAW. Doing this from Ableton will be a little bit difficult, and there are workarounds to it, which I have mentioned in a previous video, so you can go and check that out as well. But basically, if you don't know how to notate your own music, there are people who do this as a job, and they're called orchestrators.
My job as an orchestrator for a lot of composers is to go, what do we need? What kind of instrumentation are we going to use? And then scoring it out because they need to read dots, the musicians. Though there were fantastic musicians who gave a lot of their opinions and ideas and sounds to this project.
And this is exactly what my orchestrator did with me. She basically listened to my score and helped me to decide on, I guess, what instrumentation that I wanted. And we ended up choosing a 4-piece brass section and a string quartet based on our budget. And it's obviously going to be based on the budget that you have to work with. We only had a little bit of a budget because remember, this is just a taste test and introduction. I wasn't recording a big orchestra here. Like, it was just giving me a bit of an introduction into this world. So we had a small budget, and within that budget, we determined we could afford a 4-piece brass section and a string quartet. And an orchestrator really knows the instruments of an orchestra inside out. So they know exactly what articulations those instruments can play. They know exactly the range of the instruments.
So tremolo, we can also do it sulpant. Let's try it sulpant. This is when the bow is right over the bridge. See where the bridge is? Push the bow in. And it has that scratchier and more partials, but come off the notes, and it sounds more creepy. So that's a really good effect as well. You won't do the other tremolo.
So if you have created a score where you are playing, like, say, an instrument in a range that's just not possible for that person to play, the orchestrator will pick up on that, and they will basically help you to make your score better and more realistic for the players to play. And that's exactly what my orchestrator did as well. Like, there wasn't too many parts in my piece where I was playing in registers that weren't correct. But for example, I had a bass line in the intro of my score that was played by a bass instrument. Now, we didn't have a bass instrument on the day, so she just wrote it for the cello instead because it was still in the range of the cello to play. So we ended up having that bass line played by the cello in the end. So the orchestrator will know, how to, get around situations where, for example, you don't have that particular instrument or player on the day. They'll be able to make changes to your score so that, for something like a bass line, they'll know, well, a cello could play that. And now, obviously, an orchestrator will sometimes conduct an orchestra. In my situation, my orchestrator didn't need to conduct the players because it was really, like I said, just 2 groups of players, brass and strings. And so what my orchestrator did was sit in on the recording of the film score, and she really just directed and was the leader in the recording session in giving direction back to the players. She understood and knew when the take was right and when it wasn't yet captured. So she was able to lead in the recording session in that way.
Oh, I think, she'd be forte. Maybe do a forte piano and drop down. Let's do that. Forte piano, drop down, then crescendo up. Let's try that. Maybe do boom, like that. It's a really great brass effect to do that. They're good at that. Attack, come down soft, and then push through the crescendo.
All right.
So an orchestrator is really there to direct the instrumental performances to the highest quality so that the highest quality outcomes can be achieved in the recording. And honestly, I was so grateful to have an orchestrator sit in on the recording session because as somebody who has absolutely zero experience in this world, I wouldn't have known how to direct and lead the recording sessions, because I've never done it before. So having an orchestrator is so important and is basically often the standard industry practice. So if you want to take your score from your door to a professional recording studio, you'll need to find an orchestrator to help you with your score, because even if you are good at notating your own music, you often just want to also just focus on the creative aspect of it. I know somebody like me, I could probably notate my own music, and I have notated my own music in the past to apply for this school. I had to notate a piece of music that I created, and I did it successfully and got into that school. However, that's not my passion. Like, I don't want to notate my own music. Like, I'm sorry, I'd rather just focus on the creative aspect of it. So even if you could notate your music, hiring an orchestrator would be something that would just really help your process and really help you to create that strong foundation in your team. And it would be one less thing that you have to worry about. You just want to sit back, relax, and just hear your score being created, because the beauty of that is you get to really relish in that moment of hearing your score, something that was digital, have life breathed into it.
Let's go from letter E, and we'll do this little action sequence here, just up to F. So we're in 3. So that was something
cool.
that you did in your MIDI that worked really, really well. You already had like the doubles in there, and so it works super, super well. It's a great string technique.
Cool.
So an orchestrator is a really important part of the professional screen composing world. So yes, my orchestrator worked with me to take my MIDI mock-up and determine what instruments were going to play. She notated my music, and she also drew on her network of contacts to book in players to record this score.
And then I come in sort of closer towards the end point to do the orchestration, of course, which ends up in one of these scores. And we decided, listening to the score, what instruments do we want to record. In this particular piece, we decided to go with some brass instruments, French horn, trumpet, and 2 trombones. So it gave us a nice brass section, give us some action moments, things like that. And then this afternoon we've got strings coming in, so we have a string quartet. And strings are very common in film. So strings was something that we normally do each year anyway. And that's yet to come, so it's going to be very exciting. And then I've done a little bit of piano playing as well, and we're going to have some fun doing some percussion. So it's
Another person that I worked with in this intensive was my music mentor. Now, in the professional screen composing world, you probably wouldn't have a music mentor, but maybe you would have somebody else that you would bounce ideas off on your score and get feedback on. And that's what my music mentor was for me, just somebody to bounce ideas off, somebody to give me feedback on my score. And in all honesty, the orchestrator also gave me feedback on my score as well. So I guess like my music mentor was also kind of like the producer of this project, where he also booked the recording studio where we recorded the score. So perhaps you may have somebody like that in your team who's going to actually be the producer of the project and book in the recording studio and take care of all those kinds of logistics and be that kind of middle person between you and the recording studio. Now, I'm not sure if that's what happens in the pro screen composing world, but that was my experience, where I had my music mentor who was sort of like a producer and also my orchestrator as well. And these 2 professionals were really instrumental, pun intended, in really just providing a lot of support to me throughout this intensive. So those 2 are really there to help and support and guide me in the creation of this, and just ensuring that my score was tight, helping me to fix the weak parts of my score, giving me feedback on how to improve it and things like that. So that basically kind of sums up like the process of getting my score from my door and getting it ready for the recording studio. So let's talk about what it was actually like on the day of the recording. Honestly, like I must say, by the time we got to the recording stage, like I just had to sit back, relax and enjoy the ride. I had done all the hard work, and with this support team in place, like I just had to sit back and enjoy and relish in the moment of hearing my score being recorded for the first time. And it was such a beautiful experience for me. It was very meaningful. It was very life-changing, because when you work so hard at your craft and you get to have opportunities like this to experience things like this, it was just so valuable to me that it's something I will never, ever forget or take for granted. And so by the time the recording session happened, I rocked up on the day. We got to sit in the control room. So me and the orchestrator and my music mentor. I was introduced to a lot of the music players. I got to also be educated on the day on some of the different things that a trumpet player would use to create different sounds with the trumpet.
This is a Harman with stem. So I did it with a straight mute before, but this has got a kind of slightly more comedic kind of sound. Yeah. That kind of thing,
That's like a jazz, jazz players, like Barbados use it.
Solo tone. Kind of 1930s.
1930s,
Yeah.
Old school sound.
Cut mute. Quite different timbres, really.
So it was not just sitting back, relaxing and enjoying, but it was also about learning still as well. So really getting to see how the sound engineer works and getting to see the setup inside of the recording studio and how they place their microphones. And yeah, it was just a great day to be immersed in that world. And I just walked away feeling like I wish I could do this every day. Like it would be so exciting to wake up and every week be going to record a new score in a recording studio, because there's something magical and different about hearing orchestral instruments being recorded. And throughout this intensive, I actually got to experience like sitting in on the recording of an orchestra, like a full complete orchestra with my orchestrator who was orchestrating for a documentary. So I got to have that experience of hearing how that all sounds. Just so magical and so beautiful that, yeah, there's nothing like it. Like we will never be able to replace the recording of live orchestras, because there's something magical and beautiful about just that like soundscape of instruments. It's so amazing. So something to note, recording sessions can be split into 2 sessions. So we have the morning session and the afternoon session. For us, we recorded the brass section in the morning and then we recorded strings in the afternoon. And in between, there's like an hour-long break that you get to have as well. And another thing to mention is, as much as we like don't like Pro Tools, well, I know I don't really like Pro Tools. I mean, I don't hate it, but like it's not my door of choice because, the type of music I create, I love Ableton. But basically in the screen composing world, especially in this recording studio, everyone pretty much records on Pro Tools. You'd be hard pressed to find a pro like recording studio for film that doesn't record into Pro Tools. It's just how it is. So basically that's something to consider when you're composing your score in Ableton, is that score and all of your like stems and stuff will be placed into a Pro Tools project. So basically, what happened with me was my orchestrator worked in Logic. So I had to get all of my stems, my MIDI files from Ableton to Logic. What she does is do her thing with all of those files in terms of cleaning them up, getting them ready for notation. And then what she does is deliver all of her stems to the sound engineer. And the sound engineer will create a project in Pro Tools. So there's this whole like kind of chain and process of like getting like the score from one door to another. But in the end, like in a pro recording studio, your score is going to be pretty much recorded into Pro Tools. And so that engineer is going to want to get your files and your stems from your door. Now, if you're working from Ableton and you're going to go directly to Pro Tools, it could potentially be a bit of a workaround because Ableton doesn't export MIDI information, so it doesn't export timecode information. So if your sound engineer wants all of that information, they're going to want to know all your tempo changes, they're going to want to know all your time signature changes, and they're going to want to know the SMPTE time code in your stems. And if that information isn't there, there's going to have to be a workaround to that. So just keep that in mind. Going from Ableton directly to Pro Tools is not going to be an easy process. Even going from Ableton to Logic Pro won't be an easy process because Ableton doesn't have any of this information that is required in the pro like film composing world. Without a doubt, this information is required because all film scores have tempo changes, all film scores have time signature changes, and that information needs to be detected when importing stems into another DAW. I touched on a bit about this in another video, previous video, so go back and watch that if you want to know more, but just be aware of that while Ableton is amazing to compose in, it's a little bit of a biatch to transfer over to other DAWs because of these like lack of features. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But yeah, basically pretty much on the day of the recording, I didn't have to do anything. Like everything was already set up by the sound engineer. Jess led and directed the whole session. And that's kind of how it happens in the pro world. Like the composer will be just sitting there and working with the director and the orchestrator, you know, to approve takes and to like, you know, make sure all of the recordings are captured in the way that they want to be captured, and really just get to really sit in and bask in that moment of just hearing your score be recorded. So it's really a lot of fun. And if you're someone that like wants to transition into composing for film, like, yeah, I can't recommend it enough. It's like, it's such a different world to beat making and music production. So hopefully this video helps you out. And I'm going to end it with some takes from the day so that you can hear some of the recordings of the brass section and the string quartet. So hopefully you enjoy those.
Doesn't fall out. Right, champagne comedy. Okay. Try one more.
long should I play this for? What do you think with the picture?
I reckon.
Can we just play it for a few bars and we'll fade it out?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. Sky. Okay, I'll play for a few bars. It's soft. I might even put the soft pedal on. Let's do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
I'll try that. Okay.
That was so cool because he's like swimming.
It's swimming.
Yeah,
Swimming.
it's going really well with the swimming part.
I'll try up and down and see if how that's gonna work. Something like that.
Yep.
Okay. We can always just fade it out.
Yeah, I think the other one worked
that
better.
was really good.
The
Okay,
one
cool.
before that because it
Nice.
was going in time for the swimming. Yeah.
Do you want me to do one more of those as
Yeah,
an option,
yeah,
just in
yeah.
case? Okay. Yep. Okay. Whoa. Let's do that. Okay.
Yeah,
I like that,
that
too.
works
I think
well.
that looks, from what I can get
Yeah.
from the picture. Yeah. All right.
'Cause he's doing
And
this
then
while you're doing
should we
that.
do some little strummy
Sure.
stuff on the
Yeah.
strings? Sick thing is what the strings are doing at G. So just something
That's
that goes with
amazing.
it that
Yeah.
no, this bit is. Just really simple. I just go with the chords.
Yeah, love it.
Pretty. You can use it or not use it. It's up
Yeah.
to you. So if you
Sounds amazing.
G, 46. 46. It's there's a 2/4 bar before G, so if you can give me, yeah, I think I'll be all right. That's slow enough. Slow enough. Can you give me 4 clicks? That would be good. 4 clicks, yeah. Okay. I mean, the context will become clearer once we record the strings. So it'll sit hopefully within that okay.
No, it sounds
this
amazing.
chord's
I
really
can hear it. I can hear it. Yeah.
I'm just going to change that chord here. Yeah, sorry to fix one chord. This isn't gonna match with the samples because I've slightly reharmonized.
Mm-hmm.
But when we record the strings, it will fit because
Yeah.
I've reharmonized the strings.
Amazing.
Slightly. It's only little bits, but it just helps. So I think
Yeah.
I'm just gonna change that chord. I'm just gonna fix this chord as. Okay, we'll do one more go. I think we're nearly nailed it. Four clicks, yeah. Thought that was pretty good.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Love it.
Excellent.
Love it.
Well, that's it. Unless you want anything
I
else.
love it. No,
Yeah,
that's
thank
great.
you.
Amazing.
Oh.
She had her hand up and everything. She was getting you all ready and you were all like this.
I knew when to stop that.
So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that this gives you a good insight into the professional screen composing world. And I hope that it helps you on your music making journey. Again, my name is Electronics, and I'll see you in the next video.